Hi, this is Massimiliano with Italy for Real, and this morning we made some videos in the Vatican. Now we're taking a break before ancient Rome, and we came here to this typical Roman style restaurant. We call it Taverna. This is called the Taverna Romana, and I'm enjoying a typical Roman style lunch. You see here just in front of you, carbonara, spaghetti alla carbonara. Carbonara spaghetti or carbonara pasta is quite famous all over the world, but of course the best one is here in Rome. This is made with spaghetti, with eggs, a kind of bacon. This is in reality pork cheek, and the cheese, this is not Parmesan, but it is pecorino cheese, which is a kind of milk cheese. It's absolutely delicious, and a lot of black pepper, as you can see here. Then as a second course, saltimbocca alla romana. This is veal with ham and sage. I don't know if you can see the green leaf. This is sage. This is typical here. After this, tiramisu dessert, espresso coffee, never cappuccino. We never drink cappuccino at lunch or at dinner. Cappuccino in Italy is only for breakfast. Okay, so don't make this mistake when you come to Rome. So enjoy your lunch, buon appetito, and see you later. Ciao! Buongiorno, good morning ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this virtual tour. This is Massimiliano with Italy for Real, and now we're going to see ancient Rome. We start with ancient Rome with the Colosseum, which is the most visited monument of Italy. Pre-COVID time, 6 million visitors a year used to come here into the Colosseum. And it is the symbol of the eternal city. When we think about Rome, we call it the eternal city, and the symbol is the Colosseum, because it is 1900 years old. Now you can see just behind me the main best preserved section of the Colosseum, the face, the first ring. It is built by travertine, and this was recently restored. That's why it looks so white, because it was restored recently. It was paid by Della Valle. He makes beautiful shoes, shoe manufacturer Della Valle, and he paid a huge amount of money for the restoration of the Colosseum. Now, the face, it is 160 feet high. It is constituted by 4 levels, 4 stories. The first 3 levels are constituted by arches, 80 arches in each floor. It's a kind of a symphony of arches. Look at the arches of the ground floor. They were the entrances and at the same time the exits for 50,000 spectators. 50,000 spectators used to go into the Colosseum through the entrances that you can see behind me. And it looks like a stadium. On top of each arch of the ground floor, there are ancient numbers. Now you can try to focus. Look on the keystone. There is XL. That means 40. So each spectator had a free ticket made by wood, by metal, by terracotta. The ticket had a number. The number corresponded to the entrance. In this case, 40. Over there is 41. 42, 43 and so on, like a modern stadium, or rather the modern football stadiums are based on the Colosseum. And why do we call this the Colosseum? The reason is very simple, not only because it is colossal, but because before the construction of the Colosseum, nearby there was Emperor Nero's residence, the palace of Emperor Nero. It was called the Golden House, the Domus Aurea in Latin. And so the Golden House was located all around this valley. And here in this valley there was a garden, a park with an artificial lake. The artificial lake was drained and used as foundations to build the Colosseum after Nero's suicide in 68 AD. And so we call this the Colosseum because nearby there was a huge colossal statue made by bronze and gold. The statue of Emperor Nero. It was 100 feet tall. It means like an apartment building of about 8 stories, 10 stories more or less. And that statue was a colossal statue, a colossus. Colossus, Colosseum. Many visitors ask me, Max, where is today that colossal statue of Emperor Nero? It does not exist anymore because all the metal statues of ancient Rome, they were melted down after the fall of the Roman Empire. Melted down to reuse the metal to make Christian statues, weapons like swords and so on. But the nickname Colossus survives. The real name is not the Colosseum, this is a nickname. The real name is Flavian Amphitheater. Flavian because the family name of the emperors Vespasian and Titus, the two emperors that made build the Colosseum in the 1st century AD, was Flavius. Amphitheater means double theater because the Colosseum is practically two half Greek theaters put together. So the shape is oval, elliptical. You will see this inside. We are going now inside in a few moments. Right now we are inside the Colosseum, we are in the upper floor of the Colosseum, and in a few seconds I will show you the best view of the interior of the Colosseum. This is one of the best preserved sections of the Colosseum. You can imagine that this was a passageway used by 50,000 spectators to walk to the seats, to the marble seats and the wooden seats inside. Something that almost all visitors ask me is about the holes. You can see, for instance, behind you, you see the holes over there. Why is the Colosseum so full of holes? Or I could translate the question in a better way. Why does the Colosseum look like a Swiss cheese with all the holes? The reason is very simple. It's not because of the bombs during the Second World War, but because of the eye of the metal clamps that were used to keep the stones together. After the fall of the Roman Empire, all the metal clamps, the metal clamps, they were stolen, they were taken away and melted down, like the statue of Emperor Nero. So this is the reason of the holes. The Colosseum is so heavy that it keeps on standing even though there are no more iron clamps. Then another interesting detail, I mentioned that this was recently restored. So look at the difference. You see here, before the restoration, you see how dirty it is, and after the restoration. So because this is travertine, it's a porous stone. It's so porous that it absorbs the pollution of the modern city. So that's why they need to clean this stone. And now you follow me this way. We walk slowly, slowly. In Italian, piano piano, slowly, slowly. And we are going to enjoy the best view of the interior. I mentioned that the Colosseum was built by Emperor Vespasian and Titus. And how long did they need to build the Colosseum? Only 8 years. And why was the Colosseum built in such a short time? Only 8 years, from 72 AD until 80 AD, 80 after Christ. It was built so quickly for two reasons. First of all, because this is empty. It is constituted by arches. It is a symphony of arches. Remember, the arches are built quickly and each arch downloads the weight of the building. This is the first reason. The second reason why the Colosseum was built in such a short time is because it was built by slaves, free labor. Thousands and thousands of slaves, they were used to build the Colosseum. At that time, no unions for the poor ones, no Sundays, and so every day the poor slaves, they were used to build the Colosseum in only 8 years. Unconceivable today. And look at the interior, look at the inside of the Colosseum. This is so beautiful. First of all, you notice that there are no seats, there are no marble seats. All the marble seats, they were taken away, they were stolen after the fall of the Roman Empire to reuse the materials. The only marble seats that survive today are just over there, on the opposite side. Can you see those white seats over there? Those are the only ones that survive. Remember, when we visit ancient Rome, you will see this also in the Roman Forum, we are going later after the Colosseum, we have to work a lot with our imagination, because all these buildings, they were used as stone quarries after the fall of the Roman Empire. So the Colosseum, it was practically destroyed in order to reuse the stones. And it was calculated by some professors that today what survives is only 33% out of the original Colosseum. This is 1/3 out of the original Colosseum. It is imposing, it is huge, it is wow, as everybody says, but this is only 33%. The perimeter is more or less the same, the perimeter more or less, but the inside, the interior, the substance is practically missing. So here, where we are now, you see in this moment, this is open air. But at that time, this was a corridor, a passageway closed by a ceiling, you see up there, and all the seats, like in a football stadium, were up there. So this was not open air, but this was a passageway with seats here on top. Then, pay attention, under the seats there is a wooden floor. That wooden floor is a reconstruction made a few years ago, because the structures that you see down there, you see the brick underground structures, that was the storage room of the Colosseum. It was totally covered by a wooden floor, a wooden stage, so that wooden floor that you see over there, in reality started from there all the way here, on the opposite side. So the underground section of the Colosseum was hidden. And which was the use? We can move a little bit there, so we can enjoy a better view from there. Which was the function of this underground section? The main function was to keep the animals, because one of the shows that all ancient Romans loved here was the animal hunts. So in the morning, when the shows started, all kinds of animals, exotic and not exotic animals, they were hoisted up from the underground section into the arena through the trap doors. Those animals were hunted, they were killed for the amusement of the people, you can imagine. So animals versus animals, or animals versus men, hunters, not gladiators, men trained to kill animals. And I will show you from here. When I come with visitors, I come here because this is the best point of view to see the Colosseum inside. You see this elliptical. It's not round, it's not circular as most of the visitors, I think. And from here you can see the underground section much better. So remember, animals were kept down there. It was calculated 470 slaves worked down there for the shows. And on the right corner, it's difficult to see, but there is a ramp, there is a hole in that corner over there, on the opposite side. That is a reconstruction of a trap door over there, okay? And you can see here the trap door, there it is. Okay, it's difficult to see. When you come to Rome, you will see much better. In any case, that is one of the trap doors used for the animals to jump into the arena. So lions, tigers, zebras, giraffes, elephants, hippos, rhinos, every kind of wild and mild animal. They were taken into this underground section. Normal size animals down there, big size animals like elephants, hippos and rhinos, of course, they came inside through the arches of the ground floor, and they were killed here for the amusement of the people. They were scared, because you can imagine, they heard here 50,000 roaring people. They smelled the blood of the animals killed previously, so it was quite scary for the poor animals, and they were killed. Animals versus animals, or animals versus hunters. Then at 12 o'clock, at lunchtime, condemnations to death. Criminals condemned to death, they were usually thrown to the animals without the chance to defend themselves. So those criminals were usually bound to wooden poles like this, you see? They had no chance to defend themselves, and they were torn apart piece after piece. This happened at lunchtime. In the meanwhile, Roman people, they had lunch here, you can imagine, okay? Yummy. In the afternoon, the world-famous gladiator combats. You probably watched, or I recommend you, if you come to Rome, watch the movie The Gladiator with Russell Crowe. It's full of fiction, there are so many mistakes, but in any case, the reconstruction of the Colosseum is very well done. And the gladiators used to fight in the afternoon, not every day, as in the movie, but sometimes during the year, because they were extremely expensive. They costed a lot of money. They had to be trained, they had to be fed, like an animal, you can imagine, okay? And so, one gladiator usually used to fight twice a year, not every day. Forget Hollywood and Italian fiction. That's fiction, it's not true. on average 20 times in his career. After 20 times, if the gladiator survived, that was the big question, if he survived, he became free and rich and famous, popular. All the women of Rome, they were in love with the gladiators, okay? Gladiators had their groupies, you can imagine. And what happened if the gladiator could not fight anymore? If the gladiator was exhausted, he was wounded, for instance, he had to ask for mercy to the emperor, sitting here together with the people. Where did the emperor used to sit? I will show you from here. Do you see that cross on the left side down there? There is a cross, a metal cross. Now, in all the guidebooks, we keep on reading that that was the imperial seat. In reality, according to a new opinion, the emperor used to sit there on the right side. You see all the scaffolding with those workers down there? So another new opinion says that in reality the emperor used to sit there. This is quite a controversial. In any case, the gladiator that could not fight anymore, he had to ask for mercy to the emperor. He had to hold his arm, outstretched with the forefinger up like this, you see? And that meant, I cannot fight anymore, emperor, please, I'm asking for your mercy. The emperor was usually smart, usually, if he was not biologically nuts again, okay? And so what did the emperor do? He gave the final decision to the boss. Who was the boss? People, Roman people, the crowds. Remember, political propaganda. They came here for free inside, they were happy because they had a free amusement. And the people decided about the life or the death of that gladiator. Now, death of that gladiator in the movie, you see this one, thumb down, very probably this is not true, this is fiction, Italian or Hollywood fiction. According to the last opinion, the crowd shouted this, you see? In Latin, jugula, jugula, jugular vein, jugular vein. This was the sign that the gladiator had to be killed, and he was killed in the throat without mercy. In the beginning, most of the gladiators were killed, then emperors understood gladiators costed too much money, and so most of them, it was calculated, 90% of the gladiators in reality survived. Forget the fiction. They were trained to fight in a very brave way inside this arena. This was the normal day inside the Colosseum, as you can see. Another detail, pay attention to that arch on the right side of the seats. That arch was an exit, okay? An exit called Porta Libidinaria, in Latin, the gate of the corpses. Only dead gladiators and dead animals went outside the Colosseum through that arch. It was not at all a pleasure to walk through that arch. It meant that they were dead, the gate of the corpses. We are closing our virtual tour of the Colosseum with Italy for Real. From here, from the best point of view from which to take a wonderful picture and also to have an overall view of the Colosseum. We started our visit from the left section. Can you see that brick wall reinforcement section? That was the entrance. Then we visited it from the inside, from the upper floor, and now this is the exit. And you can see that here, the front, the first ring, the facade is gone. Because again, the Colosseum was used as a stone quarry. So the best section is that one on the left side, with scaffolding. That's where we started from. But here it is totally missing. Pay attention to this dry grass. You can try to see in the middle here round foundations. The round foundations belonged to a huge conical shaped fountain. That's the fountain where all the gladiators came after the fights, after the combats, to scrape off the blood and the sweat. So this is where gladiators used to wash themselves after the fights. On the right side there is a beautiful triumphal arch. This is one of the 40 triumphal arches of Rome. This was built 1700 years ago by Emperor Constantine to celebrate his victory against the co-emperor Maxentius. Constantine was extremely important because he gave freedom to the Christians in 313 AD, and this arch reminds us of that victory and also of the freedom to the Christians. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me on this virtual tour of the Colosseum. Remember, my name is Massimiliano, you can call me Max. If you want to join me here in Rome for a real tour to the monuments of Rome, you can contact Italy for Real at the provided information, and we can meet here in Rome. Thank you so much, and arrivederci. See you. Bye bye.